I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening and listening to all of us speak. I think this is an important topic. I also want to thank Donna Daniele and the other organizers for gathering us here tonight to discuss, as I said, these very vital issues. Tonight, you had an opportunity to hear from a number of different candidates on their party's view for the future of education in this province. And I think it's pretty clear that there are three very distinct paths. Education, for me, is one of the most important issues any government can face. And with my party, I believe education is the best investment we can make in Ontario's future, in the economy and prosperity. The Liberal government's record on education is impressive, and now we have a premier who served as one of the best ministers of education this province has had. Our party is committed to helping our kids become lifelong learners. We have restored public confidence in our public schools after years of neglect and even outright attack by the previous PC government. I remind you again that Ontario schools are recognized as the best in the English-speaking world, and that we have reduced the student-teacher ratio significantly, increasing teaching positions by over 13,000 since 2003. Again, test scores are up. In 2003, half of our students were not meeting the provincial standard. Think about it. Before the Liberal government came in, half of our students were not meeting the provincial standard in reading, writing, and math. Today, over 70% of our students are. Graduation rates are up. In 2003, 1 in 3 students were not graduating from high school. That's 30% of the kids at school not graduating. Today, we have a completion rate of over 80%. That's something that we could all say is we had a part in doing and take some pride in. We implemented full-day kindergarten to give our youngest learners the best possible start and save parents up to $6,500 annually per child on childcare costs. We are building more and better schools, and as one of my partners here earlier suggested, we shouldn't be investing in education. I think we need those schools. We need those schools right here in Halton, and as I said earlier, we cannot build them big enough and fast enough. We're not closing them as the PCs did. We have over 600 new schools open, under construction, or in planning across the province. 22 of them are here in Halton, either built or on their way to being built. We are also providing an additional $11 billion over the next 10 years. Not 1 year, not 4 years, a 10-year plan, because this is about ensuring that our children have a future that goes beyond a 1-year plan, to continue to invest in education infrastructure. So let me be clear. The PC plan for education means we will lose all of the ground we have made in education, or nearly all of it, and we will be back to the days when Mr. Chudley's party was in power. The PC plan for education is to fire 9,000 teachers and 9,700 support staff. We think, and I think, this is the wrong choice. We believe in investing in every student's education, not cutting them off when they need it the most. The NDP's plan is only marginally better. They plan to invest only $60 million in school capital. That pales in comparison to our plan to invest $11 billion over the next 10 years. The NDP rejected a budget that also included $4.2 billion to help local school boards address the repair needs that we all know that they are facing over the next 10 years, and a $42 million community use of schools initiative, which makes school space more affordable for nonprofits and community groups for use after hours. This is important. I know there are some nonprofit groups here in the room tonight, and I know that this is an important initiative for them, which the PCs and NDP decided not to move ahead with our budget. On June 12th, you have a very important decision to make. The future of education in this province is at stake. The PCs have a reckless plan for education that will hurt our students, my children and yours. The NDP's plan simply does not go anywhere near far enough. Our plan for education will continue to build on the strides we have made over the last 10 years for our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you again to Donna and Mr. Jones for organizing and moderating this debate. As I mentioned earlier, I do have a deep connection with the schools in this community. I am quite lucky to have come through a system as strong as ours in Halton and in Milton. No matter the government in power, the local school boards and educators have performed exceptionally. But no matter how exceptional a local system, there will be decisions made by those at Queen's Park which will greatly impact educational outcomes. So it is essential for us to investigate the options in front of us. Of course, Tim Hudak and Ted Chudley are not really much of an option for anybody who's truly paying attention to education in Ontario. Simply not an option. Everyone knows that Tim Hudak's plan just doesn't make any sense. But on the other hand, what we've seen from the Liberals is plenty of money spent on education, sure, but a very spotty record on implementation, on measures such as community hubs. And now we see in this election, Liberals are trying to scare people into voting for them once again. But let's remember what a vote for the Liberals really means. It means that you are endorsing their bad behavior. It means that you are okay with corruption, broken promises, and basic mismanagement. When you vote Liberal, you are saying, yeah, sure, I want more of the same. We must remember who we are dealing with. We cannot trust this Liberal government to fulfill its promises, while the inner party's local appointment is also a definition of a Liberal establishment candidate. After 10 years of scandals and broken promises by the Liberal establishment, they deserve a timeout. The plan we've put forward for education is the only one that can be trusted while also making sense. Ontario has a strong publicly funded school system. But just as students strive to learn, the government must strive to do better. You shouldn't have to question whether the government of the day is putting students first. You should be able to trust the government to make sure that it's working for you, and also the educators within the system. We wish to bring a higher level of trust and stability to our entire education system. In review, what we will do is launch a student achievement program to help students succeed. We'll establish an open schools fund to help keep local schools open rather than closing popular local schools as under the Liberals. We will keep children healthy and active and invest in student nutrition, protect childcare, full day K, ensure that education responds to educators and students' needs, and open up the possibility of looking at EQAO for review. For post-secondary, we want to make it more accessible by freezing tuition rates, eliminating the interest on student loans, and maintaining the 30% rebate for undergrads. We can invest our time and energy into fixing the problems with how our government deals with education and actually start to respect the valuable work that education workers perform year-round. This election, voters can choose leadership that actually makes sense. This election, you can choose to vote NDP. This election, voters in Halton can choose to vote for me, a progressive New Democrat, beholden to no party establishment. I was not rubber stamped, but rather won my competitive nomination to be your NDP candidate in this very room. I am not accountable to a party. I am accountable to you. You know, I would love to speak with you personally if you have any questions or concerns, whether that be right after this debate, or we can email back and forth or set up a phone call. So please do so if you'd like to continue the discussion we started here today. Thank you very much.
As is appropriate, we've discussed the issues, and we've come together. And Donna and Ian, thank you very much for a marvelous job in a contentious situation. I didn't expect to make any friends here tonight, you've done a marvelous job. So thank you for that. You know, building schools, as I've said throughout the evening, building schools is a responsibility of the boards of education. It's funded by the Ministry of Education. fundamental responsibility, and over the last 19 years that I've had the honor and privilege of serving as MPP for this area, there's been literally hundreds of schools built, and I take no credit for those schools. That credit belongs to the Board of Education who built those schools. That's how the system works. It would be wonderful for me to stand on a soapbox and say, I built you over 100 schools. Boy, aren't I great? Well, I'm here to tell you that's not the way it works. So I congratulate the Board of Education on the wonderful job they've done on some of the fastest growth that Canada's ever seen in the fastest growing community today in Canada. I'll be very brief in my closing remarks. Education is our future. Our children are the most important thing that we do, and giving them the very best education we can is one of the primary jobs of any government in this province has ever had or ever should have. I've had the honor and privilege of representing you at Queen's Park over the past 6 terms. My job is not done in Ontario. Ontario needs a recovery program. We've got almost 1 million people in Ontario that need jobs. Ontario needs that recovery, and the PC government has a plan for that recovery. It's the only party in Ontario that does have a plan that will see us back as the driving force in the Canadian economy once again. I thank you for your kind attention tonight.